All right, my name is Ariel Zangla. I'm a reporter with the Daily Freeman. With me is Yvonne Lahara, our life editor who's running our live stream. But we're here to talk today with SUNY New Paltz President Don Christian. We appreciate you coming in. So we're going to give you the chance to make an opening statement to our viewers, and then we'll ask you some questions about the college.
Very good. Thank you, Ariel. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. My name is Don Christian. As you heard, I'm the president at the State University of New York at New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz. And I'm very excited about the growing reputation and profile of the college and happy to talk about some of the things that we're most proud of. One of those is our growing profile and rising reputation. We heard last month that we're ranked number 4 by U.S. News and World Report among the 48 public master's universities in the North, which is a 9-state region. This is up from number 10 in 2004, 7th in 2010, 8th before that, 6th for several years since then. We're also ranked 24th among the combination of public and private universities for that region. And we're talking here about 48 public universities in that region, 190 public and private master's universities. So we're in the top 12% or so of institutions in that region. We were rewarded this year to be included in U.S. News and World Report's Best Colleges for Veterans ranking. First time we've made it in that ranking. And I always say that while I'm proud of those rankings, I'm even more proud of what they reflect. And they reflect measures of student success and institutional achievement, like graduation and retention rates that are way above national averages, student loan debt that's below national averages, a loan default rate for our graduates that's way below national averages, and a repayment rate on federal loans of 88% compared with the national average of 67%. So all of this tells us that we're educating our students well for success in the world after graduation. We recently hired a Veterans Services Coordinator. We've undertaken a transfer student initiative. About half of the students who graduate from New Paltz every year came to us as transfer students, mostly from our Hudson Valley community colleges, but from other institutions as well. We're expanding student research and internship opportunities because we know that these are the kinds of things that help cement our students' learning and are very attractive credentials for future employment. We've established what we call a co-curricular transcript. So a student at New Paltz can graduate with the traditional academic transcript and with a co-curricular transcript where they record a lot of the very important outside the classroom learning that takes place. Things like community service, committee membership, honors and awards, leadership activities, where students develop important skills like accuracy and detail orientation, fiscal management, ability to learn effectively on your own, problem solving, teamwork, taking a lead on projects, and so on. Many of you may have heard that last week we renamed a center on the campus, the Benjamin Center for Public Policy Initiatives. We're very proud of the work of that center focused on conducting and sharing research results on a whole variety of regional problems. Every project that takes place in the Benjamin Center has a student working on it as an apprentice researcher. So we're meeting a regional need for sound information and providing our students with great learning opportunities. We have developing strengths in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, including a brand new program in mechanical engineering. And we're building those programs at the same time that we sustain and grow our traditional strengths in the arts, teacher education, and the liberal arts. We'll talk later on about some of the exciting construction underway on the campus, as well as about our economic impact in the Hudson Valley. I will share also that we've developed a new 3D printing initiative that's generating substantial interest and attention from our students as well as business and industry in the region. We're working now with about 80 different companies and entrepreneurs around 3D printing and helping them prototype and print small runs, and we're designing projects for them. We also are expanding our linkages to various organizations and entities in the Hudson Valley. Our School of Education has developed tremendous literacy programs and other educational programs in collaboration with the Unity Armory Center in Newburgh, and we're proud of that achievement.
Okay, great. So one of the things that you mentioned in your opening statement was a question that I had for you. It's the colleges has been ranked high by the U.S. News and World Report among colleges in the North, both offering bachelor's and master's degrees. So what do you, I mean, you said it was student success and other things. What other things are contributing to the college's ranking and getting it such public notice in these reports?
I often hear from students and observers that it's the tremendous opportunity that we provide for students and the encouragement that students receive to seize those opportunities. One thing that we're very proud of is the great engagement of students with their professors and with staff. We pride ourselves in having an environment where faculty and staff go out of their way to support students, to recognize when there's an issue, to encourage them to take opportunities. That's a big part of our success. We're also a very friendly and supportive campus environment where a student could get lost if they wanted to, but they almost have to work at it. There's a lot of outreach, a lot of connections among students. We're developing and refining many special learning opportunities for students, like a growing honors program, expanding opportunities for students to take part in research under the mentorship of a faculty member. We've been seeing great growth in internship opportunities, and again, the interest of our students in seizing those opportunities. We have lots of opportunities for students to engage effectively with each other across disciplines, and that's very exciting and creates a very lively and vibrant intellectual environment on campus. So those are a few of the things that we can identify that we're proud of in that success.
Okay. One of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about is the college's economic impact on the region. Can you just explain to us what economic benefits there are from having the college local and what you do to benefit the community in Hudson Valley at large?
Sure. So first and foremost, we're an educational institution, and that's our mission. But in the course of fulfilling that mission, we have a tremendous economic impact, positive economic impact in the region. We're the largest employer in New Paltz, third largest in Ulster County. We have about a $335 million annual economic impact in the Hudson Valley, about $400 million in New York. We've been very stable in our economic impact throughout the economic downturn, which is a key feature of higher education institutions. One of the impacts that we have not monetized in our economic impact, but we know it's significant, is the tremendous volunteerism that our faculty and staff and administrators show throughout the region. Our analyses show an estimated 144,000 hours of volunteer time by our faculty and staff annually, and that's
144,000?
correct. And that's the equivalent of having about 70 people working full-time, 52 weeks a year, gratis, and that's a big benefit to our regional community, above and beyond the volunteerism and community engagement of our students.
So what kind of volunteer work are your faculty and staff doing? What kinds of things are they doing in the community?
They're on nonprofit boards, committees of nonprofit organizations, often related to their specialty area of expertise, whether it's history or fine arts or theater or education. Many volunteer with supporting causes that matter to the region. Some in their scholarly work engage regional issues, whether it's food shortages or sustainable agriculture or workforce development.
Okay. What about the colleges paying, taxes in the community? I mean, is the college a nonprofit, or do you pay,
we're non-taxable.
Okay.
So different than a tax-exempt organization has to apply for tax-exempt status. We're non-taxable, and we're guided by state policies that limit how we use the state resources that are available to us. I will say that in the New Paltz community, while we don't pay taxes, we support the community in a number of ways. We have a long-standing and very effective mutual support agreement between the University Police Department on the campus, the New Paltz Police Department. We aid them in situations when they need aid. We provide in-kind support in the form of fuel for the rescue squad, the Ulster County Area Transit Loop and Link buses, and support the community in many other ways.
One of the other things that I want to talk to you is about a state investment of $10 million that was announced by Governor Cuomo, and that's to create an engineering innovation hub to help support and diversify the college's engineering programs and address the shortage of engineers needed to serve advanced manufacturing interests in the region. Can you tell me what's going on with that state investment at this point?
Sure. So this grew out of some initial investments in our 3D printing initiative, which links very closely to mechanical engineering, which is, as I mentioned, a brand new program at New Paltz, building on our long traditions of electrical and computer engineering. We've heard from manufacturers and others in the region that attracting and recruiting mechanical engineers is a constraint on their continued economic development. And so that was a factor in our building mechanical engineering. The 3D printing initiative took different forms. Part of that is an on-campus form in the development of a digital design and fabrication curriculum, blends the arts and technology. We've also been extending our expertise throughout the region, as I mentioned a few moments ago. And we're constrained in the space that we have to support all of those programs, our engineering programs, our educational programs in 3D and other areas, and our outreach to the region. So we applied for and received $10 million of NY SUNY 2020 funding to build an engineering innovation hub that will house many of these programs. It'll be adjacent to our current engineering building. We'll include some space for Startup New York companies to join our efforts. That project is now in planning. We hope to begin construction that would lead to completion of the project in 2018.
2018. Okay. You mentioned the 3D printing program. What's going on with that at this point at the college? We've heard, some news come out of it.
Well, as you may have heard, in 2014, we established the first ever MakerBot Innovation Center, first ever in the country at any college or university. And that gives us a whole bank of desktop 3D printers that many of our students across many different disciplines are learning how to use the software, how to design. It's engaging students in making things in brand new ways. We've also established partners, and MakerBot is the leading manufacturer of desktop 3D printers. We're also building relationships with Stratasys and with 3D Systems, which are two large manufacturers of industrial grade 3D printers, and we've been building that capacity as well. And that's where we have our primary link to businesses, industry, and entrepreneurs in the region. So we often will have an entrepreneur or a designer come to us with an idea. Sometimes it's a full-fledged design. Sometimes it's an idea almost scratched on the back of a napkin, and we're able to help them with designing a product or an item, printing it. Sometimes we prototype. We have students involved in all of these projects, and it's tremendous experience, whether it's an art student or an engineering student, to be working with a manufacturer or an entrepreneur to learn about their needs, to try to translate those from theory into product. I might mention,
Go ahead.
I might mention also that as part of that initiative, we have key educational programs beyond our digital design and fabrication initiatives. So the college has purchased 3D printers through some of our funding for a number of the community colleges in the region to try to build interest in use of 3D printing technology in the community colleges. Our School of Education has also developed programs that are extending the use of 3D technology into K through 12 education.
A reader would like to know what differentiates New Paltz from other SUNY schools, and why should they send their child there?
That's a question that I'm happy to try to respond to. Again, we have what is approaching best in class in graduation rate, retention rate, and that's important. When we look at student loan debt, for example, the biggest challenges that students who have incurred loan debt face are for those students who have not been able to graduate. And so we think it's really important that when we accept a student, we do everything we can to keep them in school and move them along to graduation. We pride ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, in the kind of collaboration and nurturing that happens between faculty, staff, and students. We have a wonderfully supportive campus environment. It's in a beautiful location. Benefits of a small town, rural environment. New Paltz has the flavor of the ideal, stereotypical college town. Close to New York City, we try to take advantage of those resources as well. And again, we've been building a number of rich educational programs like honors and living learning communities in the residence hall, and student research programs and growing internship programs in a very safe and supportive campus environment. So those would be a few quick responses to that question, and I hope you'll come and have a look at SUNY New Paltz.
Speaking of why people should send their children to SUNY New Paltz, can you talk about the size of the faculty staff and whether they're made up of adjuncts mostly, or if you have mostly full-time staff at the college?
So we have been moving in the opposite direction of many colleges and universities. Since 2011, when the rational tuition policy went into effect, we've invested heavily in new faculty and staff. So in addition to replacing faculty who retire, we've added now about 45 new faculty positions. And that means that we've been able to add more courses. We're building new programs. Mechanical engineering is one. Digital humanities initiative is another. We've been keeping class sizes small. In fact, our average class size has actually been diminishing the last several years. So those are some of the features that we think create a really sound educational environment at an institution like New Paltz.
What is your average class size?
It's right 25 to 27. The other part of your question that I want to follow up on is that in the course of adding more and more full-time faculty, we've been, and I will say this clearly, that we will always have adjunct faculty. Adjunct faculty are tremendous teachers on our campus. They bring much to the campus environment. Many of our adjuncts are people who are working in the community. They bring applied experience or other experiences that our regular faculty may not have. And whereas across the nation, many campuses are increasing the percentage of their courses taught by adjuncts, we've been keeping that percentage at below 25 to 30%, which compares with roughly 50% of our courses in the early 2000s taught by adjuncts.
What about the number of students that you have currently in terms of four-year students and those seeking a master's degree? Do you know like what your average enrollment is?
Right now we have just under 8,000 students on the campus, 6,600 or 6,700 undergraduate students, and the remainder graduate students, 1,200 or so. We have capacity to grow at the graduate level, and we're pursuing a number of growth opportunities in graduate education. We've developed recently a post-baccalaureate program in disaster studies, disaster and mental health studies. We're looking at a number of 4+1 programs so that at the end of 5 years a student can graduate with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. We're looking at expanding some of our online courses, at least to make some of our graduate programs more accessible to a more diverse graduate student body. At the undergraduate level, in many respects, we're at capacity. We have fewer residence hall beds on the campus per capita than any other SUNY comprehensive college campus. So that's a constraint on our ability to grow our undergraduate enrollments.
So speaking of beds on campus, in August you guys opened the new Ridgeview Hall. Is that makes 13 residence halls? Is that correct? Approximately?
13 or 14. I'd have to check that for sure.
Okay, so are there plans to build additional housing for students on campus, or are you running out of space on campus?
We have the property on campus to build, and again, we've identified student housing as a key constraint in our future, and so that's certainly a need that we want to continue addressing. We also would like to build housing to better support new faculty and staff joining our community, at least so they could settle into the community for a few years upon their first arrival in the Hudson Valley, find their way and then perhaps subsequently move out into other housing. But again, we have the fewest residence hall beds per capita of any of the SUNY campuses of our sort, and we want to continue addressing that need for identified need by our students and their parents for safe, affordable, near campus housing.
So how are you working to provide that safe, affordable, near campus housing? Like, what initiatives does the college undertake to
Well, the
that?
big constraint for us right now is how we finance new housing construction, and it's complex. We're working on that. We have other needs as well. Obviously, we just completed a new residence hall that will be paid off from student residence hall fees over a period of several decades. We have considerable maintenance that we're making up, renovating residence halls as our financial resources allow. We've renovated now 2 of our older residence halls to the tune of $13 to $16 million each. We're looking at a third renovation project like that likely will be a $20 million renovation project. And so finances are the constraints in how we address those student housing needs.
Do most of your students live off campus and off campus housing, or the majority of them on campus?
I'd have to check the figure on that. I think about certainly all of our graduate students live off campus. We're right now, I think, at roughly half of our undergraduate students living on campus. Others live in the New Paltz community. We have a number of commuter students from throughout the Hudson Valley.
Speaking of commuter students, how many or what percentage of your undergraduate student body do you think comes from the Hudson Valley region, and does New Paltz actively market itself to this region to attract local students?
Right now, if I recall the figures correctly, about 35% of our undergraduate students are from the Hudson Valley. If you've driven north and south on the thruway, you see our signs advertising SUNY New Paltz. On 299 East, we have a billboard. We've been advertising in the Poughkeepsie Galleria Mall. So yes, we invest a lot in trying to recruit and attract Hudson Valley students to the region, to the college.
What sort of graduate programs does the college currently offer?
We offer, obviously, a lot of our traditionally strongest graduate programs have been in teacher education areas, in literacy, special education, disciplinary areas, Master of Arts in Teaching. We offer an MBA, Master of Business Administration. We have graduate programs in electrical and computer engineering and computer science. We have an MFA program, a Master of Fine Arts in Studio Arts, that's nationally ranked and recognized. We have a wonderful communication disorders graduate program that serves many of the speech and audiology needs in the region, a music therapy graduate program, and I know that I'm going to forget some here, but those are a sampling, and they, psychology and counseling graduate programs. And so again, I'm likely forgetting something there, but hopefully that gives your readership an inkling of the breadth of graduate offerings that we have.
All right. We talked a little bit about construction and need for housing. So can you talk about other construction taking place on campus and
We're in an absolutely unprecedented and very exciting phase of construction and renovation on the campus. And I want to preface this by pointing out that in addition to having a residence hall shortage, we have about a 350,000 square foot space deficit of non-residential space, that is faculty offices, classrooms. And so as we build new buildings, it's really bringing our physical plant up to the standard that many other SUNY campuses already enjoy. So right now we're building a new science building that will accommodate some of that growth that I've mentioned in growth in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We're renovating a 1960s era building, originally built as a science building, being repurposed now to better serve students. It will include several student service areas, financial accounts, financial aid, student accounts, records and registration, academic advising, several academic departments as well. We're renovating the 1960s era Sojourner Truth Library, bringing that up to modern academic standards. I mentioned that we just completed a brand new residence hall in August that's now fully occupied. We're planning the Engineering Innovation Hub. We are planning a new residence hall renovation. And we also continually pursue a lot of hidden infrastructure investments, things that are below ground that you hardly ever see. Internet access, electrical cables, piping and plumbing and heating and cooling. We invest in our electrical infrastructure. Again, the kind of projects that are hidden but very important for keeping a modern, complex university working well. I'm always quick to add when we talk about major construction and renovation projects like these are funded by state-issued bonds that are paid back by state taxpayers for residents or for academic buildings, and by student residence hall fees for residence hall buildings. So sometimes we're asked, why would you spend $10 million to renovate building X when you have needs for more faculty? And the answer to that question is that these funds are not exchangeable.
All right. When we're talking about state funding, in March, you and some other SUNY College representatives asked the state to continue its financial support for your students. What was the outcome of that, and is more needed from the state to help support its universities and tuition for students?
The answer to that is complex. We need both. We need a rational, in my judgment, we need a rational tuition policy that builds steady, ideally small increases in tuition over time, and we need increased state investment in higher education. That state support for SUNY has declined steadily over the last 30 years, and and so we've been able to sustain the quality of our operations because of tuition increases. So over the last 5 years, as our tuition has grown, as I pointed out, we've added 40 plus brand new additional full-time faculty, hired counselors and a veteran services coordinator. We've increased financial aid for students. We've built new programs like mechanical engineering and digital humanities to for our students. So we increase the quality and the value of the kind of education New Paltz is able to provide. We would not have been without a rational tuition policy. Of every dollar that we have available to spend for educating students, 76 cents now comes from tuition and 24 cents comes from state taxpayer support. So it's really time for the state to step up its investment of state resources to better educate New York students. We believe clearly that a high quality education is the ticket to a bright future, and too many New York young people and their families can't afford that cost of admission, even though tuition costs in SUNY are in the bottom quartile of tuition costs across the nation. So again, time for the state to step up its game if New York is to remain competitive and serve our students well. But at the same time, we need a policy of rational tuition. And here's why. First of all, tuition increases, as I just pointed out, have made possible some of the benefits that I just pointed out. Secondly, as costs escalate, which they naturally do over time, tuition will eventually need to rise. And New York has pretended that it's again, my judgment, has pretended that it's a good thing to keep tuition flat year after year after year until finally that bubble bursts and it's necessary to increase tuition. Often that happens during economic downturns at a time that families can least afford a tuition increase, and it often happens in one big jump. So I have to think not just about the cost of education for a student at New Paltz now or next year or the year after, but I have to think about the future for students who are maybe now 14 or 15 or 16 who will come to us or other public university campuses in New York in the next several years and be sure that their welfare is safeguarded as well. The scenario that haunts me the most, and this should haunt our students and our state leaders as well, is a state budget that includes no tuition increase and no increase in taxpayer support. And that outcome would almost certainly drive budget decisions that would decrease educational opportunity and quality at New Paltz, and that's not a good thing for anyone. So I wish that those who advocate for no increases in tuition could guarantee that state taxpayer support would increase to compensate for that. But history is not very reassuring about that kind of outcome.
What is the current tuition for students at New Paltz?
It's about $7,400 a year for a full-time student.
Okay. One of the other things that you've talked about is providing safe housing for students. A few years ago, you went to Washington, D.C. for a conference on handling sexual violence and sexual abuse. Can you talk about how SUNY New Paltz responds to reports of sexual abuse and sexual violence, but more importantly, what the college is doing to prevent sexual abuse, sexual violence
Sure.
on campus and in student housing off campus?
Well, first of all, beyond educating our students, we have little control over what happens off campus. And so I want to make that point clear, nor do we have jurisdiction there. SUNY New Paltz has a long history of clear, strong policy and a serious commitment to managing and handling sexual assault, sexual violence, sexual harassment dates to well before the upswing in national attention to this very pressing issue. And indeed, we're rewarded that many of our policies and practices, including specific policy language, sometimes verbatim, were the basis for many of the new SUNY policies and that were enacted recently, and for the translation of those policies into statewide policies. So our goals include providing clear policy and guidelines to adjudicate and hear allegations of sexual assault. We provide a diverse array of options and every support that we can provide for survivors of sexual assault, and we take appropriate we enact appropriate consequences for those who are found responsible for sexual assault on our campuses. Even more importantly, we invest lots and lots of effort in steps to prevent campus sexual assault. So we have a very well-developed program of bystander intervention so that students know when to intervene, how to do so to help prevent someone from becoming a victim of sexual assault. We train many student leaders in Title IX and sexual assault policies and practices. These include orientation leaders, resident assistants, athletic team captains, anybody who's in a mentoring role. We try to identify students who could be in the sort of leadership role where a victim of sexual assault, a survivor, may come to them, and we can be sure that they get referred in the right directions. We have a number of other programs as well. New Paltz is involved in a national initiative called It's On Us, which is a program of helping men understand the responsibilities and the roles that we have in respectful interaction with others, and the steps that we need to take to reduce incidents of campus sexual assault. We also have in New Paltz, it's now about a 16-year-old practice that was renewed, agreement that was renewed just last year. It's a tavern owners agreement to reduce excessive alcohol consumption by our students. To reduce that, there's a nationwide pattern of frequent involvement of alcohol consumption, excessive alcohol consumption in many cases of sexual assault. So those are some of the things that we're doing.
Okay. On average, how many reports of sexual abuse or sexual violence does the campus receive or the college receive each year?
We report those statistics in a Clery report, and we just filed our latest Clery report. I don't have the figures off the top of my head, but I think it was in the range of 4 to 6 campus sexual assaults each of the last 2 years.
Okay. 4 to 6 total.
Yeah.
Okay. Of those, do you know how many were actually found to have?
I don't have that figure here in the top of my head.
Okay.
And as you're aware and we're aware, there's a pattern of underreporting of many instances of campus sexual assault. Sometimes they are reported, but a survivor doesn't want to pursue disciplinary action, and we respect that. We understand and respect the reasons that someone may not wish to pursue charges.
You talked about the consequences that that could come from sexual abuse and sexual violence. What sorts of consequences would someone face?
Well, certainly survivors have the right to file criminal charges, as I'm sure you know, and so that's that's perhaps the most extreme kind of consequence. For instances that happen on campus where a perpetrator is found responsible, certainly expulsion from the institution is a severe consequence.
All right. So you've been president at SUNY New Paltz for approximately 4 years now. What do you think some of the biggest changes that have occurred at the campus or at the college under your tenure so far?
Well, we have been pursuing a number of initiatives in a strategic plan that has 8 priority areas for what we as a campus feel we need to focus on most to get better as a college. Many of those are focused very clearly on students, student success, and student experience. So many of those kinds of programs and opportunities that I've talked about here in the last few minutes are growing out of that strategic plan. We want to keep them growing. We want to keep enriching those opportunities for students in their learning that position them for success in the world beyond the institution. We're also focusing substantially on better serving and linking to the region, and this is something we do in ways that I've talked about here today, many other areas as well. We're, we're working diligently to better engage alumni. We're bringing alumni back to the campus to speak with students about their career and experiences. Maybe Ariel, we could, and Yvonne, maybe we could have you both come back and speak with our journalism students, because our students are you know they're they're working with how they can take what they're learning in the classroom and their other experiences on the campuses and parlay them into a career in a complex world. And the advice and guidance from our alumni is often very helpful for those experiences. We've, you know, again, we've focused intentionally on building an honors program. I think in the last 4 years, our honors enrollments have grown from just over 100 students to now over 230 students. We're growing the involvement of students in internships, research experiences, arts organizations and connections to the region that serve the region and provide our students with opportunities. So we keep seeking those opportunities to build and grow.
We have a question from someone here. Do you find that students are arriving from high schools needing remedial math and English courses? And if so, what do you attribute that to?
It's a huge national issue. It's a huge issue in the state of New York. Um, it's an issue that we, as a system of SUNY presidents and the chancellor, speak about quite often. And part of the SUNY-wide initiative is focused on how can we work with K through 12 education to be sure that those remedial experiences happen earlier, so that students aren't playing catch up when they come to our colleges and universities and community colleges. New Paltz is in the fortunate situation of being very selective in our admissions criteria. So for the most part, we don't face that challenge of massive remedial education in writing and in English. At the same time, I know from the experience of many faculty that many of our students come to us may shy away from STEM areas or other fields that require quantitative skills because of their concern about their math capabilities. And I hear also from faculty in many disciplines that while we have many good students who are great writers, we also have others who struggle with their writing. So these are clearly major issues at the state and national level. One of the reasons that we focus in our School of Education on content area development for our teacher education candidates, so that as they go out into the world of work, they can help address some of these skills development needs in K through 12 students.
And I was emailed a very long question. This reader feels that SUNY New Paltz has been dragging its foot on clean energy and efficiency in its building. Says that in 1981, the college environmental site with 8 student-built houses that were all or partially solar heated were bulldozed. Um, and you're currently on the board of Central Hudson. So this reader would like to know what the college is doing to be more green, to have more clean energy and efficiency, and how you're addressing those environmental needs.
We have a sustainability website on the New Paltz homepage that lays out the many things that our sustainability committee, our sustainability coordinator, our energy coordinator are working on. And so there's a vast array of things going on at the college that are addressing that question that you have. And I encourage you to have a look at some of the things that we're doing there. We've been installing some solar arrays on, admittedly at a small scale, but we're moving in that direction. We have a number of projects underway replacing traditional lighting with LED lighting that reduces the energy costs of lighting dramatically. Those are a couple examples of some of the things that we are doing.
And you serve on the.
I do.
Okay. So what do you do with Central Hudson? What's your role there?
Well, I'm a member of the board of directors, and the parent company and Central Hudson, with the full endorsement of the Public Service Commission, encourage regional engagement on the board. So I, along with several colleagues from the Hudson Valley, serve on that board to be sure that customer interests in the region are represented. And so we advise, we guide, we review reports, we form the right kind of understanding to inform the guidance that we give on key decisions that are made by the corporation.
Is that a volunteer service?
No, it's a compensated position. Okay. I might comment that when I was appointed president in 2011, my position agreement, position offer, includes the stipulation that I'm eligible to serve on up to 2 corporate boards for compensation. This is well before I was approached by Central Hudson to join the board. Not something I sought. Reflects the fact that this is, in contrast to the views of some people, something quite regular for university and college presidents to do.
Are you serving on any other boards or commissions at this time?
I'm on the Mohonk Preserve Board of Directors, which is a nonprofit. I'm on the Hudson Valley Pattern for Progress Board of Directors, another nonprofit. I'm on the advisory council for Historic Huguenot Street in New Paltz.
So how does that involvement in those outside groups, how does that benefit the college, or does it in any way benefit the college?
Well, it really does. Those kinds of, obviously when I'm serving on a board, my purpose is to support the work of that board. But as we seek to engage the region and identify opportunities for our students in the region, that presence on the board helps. So as an example, we have a number of student interns who volunteer or conduct research at the Mohonk Preserve. Great for the preserve, great for our students. That happens whether I'm on the board or not, but my presence there, I believe, helps that as well. We have also many collaborations with Historic Huguenot Street. A number of student mentors and interns engaged in programming at Historic Huguenot Street, collaborations back and forth between the college.
Okay. So, like I said, you've been president at SUNY New Paltz for approximately 4 years now. What are your goals for the next few years for your leadership of the college, and what direction you want to take the college in?
Well, again, these are charted by and large by the strategic plan that the college set out on beginning in 2013. We'll continue to pursue those goals of creating an engaged living learning environment, continuing to build the kind of opportunities that we've talked about. We want to better integrate, continue integrating, as exemplified by our co-curricular transcript, the experiences that happen in the classroom with all the other valuable learning that happens in a university environment. We want to continue engaging and supporting the region. We hear still that SUNY New Paltz is a best kept secret in the Hudson Valley. I think alluding to a comment you made earlier. So we want to continue our efforts to tell the New Paltz story better than we have. Continue engaging alumni. We are in the context of the constrained budget that I mentioned earlier, we're stepping up our efforts to generate philanthropic private support for our students in our programs, with a particular focus on scholarship support for students that will reduce that financial burden and make the great experience that we provide available to more students.
Okay. And we're coming up on our time, so if you'd like to address any other issues and give us a closing statement.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here, and we've touched on many of the things that we're most proud of at SUNY New Paltz, some of the challenges that we face, and some of our goals of being a key partner in the Hudson Valley through our educational programs and all the other things that we do and can do to serve and support the region. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question. There was a report on, this is in February, it was called Drugs on Campus, and it ranked SUNY New Paltz as the #1, this is for the year 2013, as the #1 in the nation in per capita on-campus drug arrests for the year 2013. Do you think that New Paltz has a drug problem?
The year before that, we ranked 107th in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a full picture of what produced that pattern for 2013, but the preliminary assessment of our results from 2014 is that we're much more back to where we were the previous year. So, so that was a blip that we don't fully understand, but in my assessment, it was a blip.
There were 24 arrests in 2012, and there were 105 in 2013. So you're saying that it's going back to...
It's dropped back down, yes. And certainly, excessive drug use is an issue on every college and university campus. New Paltz is not immune to them, but we also believe that particular statistic is quite misleading about the climate on the New Paltz campus. You may be aware that we have the stiffest judicial policy within SUNY for repeat violations of marijuana use. So we take these issues seriously and try to address them seriously.
I want to ask a question. This is more related to as a parent, I guess, and with all the school shootings. One of the things that I don't know if you're getting these questions from parents is like, what does the school have as a safeguard or procedures in God forbid something like this to happen, in terms of security? What assurances does the school have of a protocol, or does the school have a protocol in security in case of, is the school ready in case something bad would happen in terms of
someone asked me once why we don't have our active shooter protocols posted on our website. Obviously, I think that's a fairly unusual question to ask, but we do have active shooter protocols. Our university police department is well trained. We work regularly with other police agencies in the region in active shooter training. Our university police department worked with theater students to produce a video on an active shooter scenario, hypothetical scenario on a college campus that has been picked up and used by many colleges and universities throughout the U.S. and it dramatizes in a very clear way the kind of training that we provide for students, how students are to respond. So we take these issues seriously. We have our university police are well trained. They're alert. They engage students in a productive way. We have a mass notification system on the campus. We have what we call NP alerts, so we can we can get out an immediate message to all members of the community if there's an issue arising. So we take this seriously and try to be as prepared as we can be.
Okay.
All right.
So thank you very much for talking with us today. We appreciate you taking the time out
My
and
pleasure.